Hello and welcome to Stock Down Under. Today we're joined by Sean Hehir, CEO of BrainChip. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Mark, good to be here.
You're in Sydney this week for Semiconductor Australia 2025, but also this week you had a great announcement. You're taking out your technology, you're basically AKD 1500. Tell us all about that and specifically what it means for your, well, basically, the revenue coming in potentially off this.
Sure, it's a very important announcement for the company. And what it allows us to do is address three very specific objectives that we want. It's a logical extension of our IP strategy. So I always want to begin with the following. Remain very committed to the IP strategy. This is additive. And we got here through a very solid natural journey, which is a lot of customer interaction, a lot of feedback, building capabilities on this customer journey that allow us to put us in this position where we are today. But those objectives really are the simple ones. Is one, as people evaluate IP, oftentimes they want silicon to try things prior to actually building a chip. So if we have more silicon available, it allows us to facilitate the sales of IP, whether they just look at it for a little bit of power or performance kind of measuring, or they decide to build prototypes in the market, put those prototypes out, adjust your chip plans, and then build their really refined chip. So we need chips to support the IP strategy. Secondly, we have a whole bunch of customers we talk to who said, we love your technology, we would love to use it, but as a company like us, we don't have the resources or the expertise to build a chip. Would you sell us a chip? So we're addressing that, which is really important. And also, when you look at the announcement we put out, you'll see an objective or a statement in there along the lines of addressing critical solutions. As we work with customers over the last year and two, we have really developed some very important intellectual property in terms of models and processes and industry knowledge in some key verticals. So having silicon allows us to build certain modules for those customers that want to buy a more complete solution from BrainChip. So it's a really important announcement for our company, and we couldn't be more excited.
Really important, but I don't know what tape out means. Just in two sentences, what does it mean?
Sure. At its simplest level, we have these chips that we have today called reference chips, and we've been using them to get the customer feedback. And at this point, we made the decision to make it into production. So what that means is taking the final steps to produce a large quantity of chips without getting overly technical, so that people can buy a large volume of chips. And those chips will be available in Q3.
And so that's Q3 2026, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We should get them back in Q2, so we hope to be a little bit sooner, but we're saying in the market that it'll be Q3. So we're very excited about that. And I want to make a statement while I have the microphone open, if you don't mind, Mark. We've talked to a lot of customers about this, and we made the decision after getting really strong feedback that this was an appropriate chip for them, and that we believe that we have a very strong market signal that this will go very well for us.
I was going to ask what prompted this additional sort of, I wouldn't say vertical, but additional sort of, line or pathway to revenues.
Well, it's just really what I just said a moment ago, and you and I spoke about it, which is, people who cannot or organizations who don't have the wherewithal to build a chip want access to technology. And we kept hearing it and hearing it. So we decided to go forth with this. So that's why we know that it's the right chip, it's the right thing. And of course, that it's certainly an extension of our strategy and supports our IP strategy as well.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, right? The IP or the license model will still be available for companies and prospects that want that type of model.
Absolutely. And, the way our technology is, it's very flexible and scalable. So companies can buy our IP package and scale it down to even smaller packages than we have in our 1500, or scale it up, size of memory, change the clock speed. So there's a lot of variability for people to innovate with our IP. So absolutely, it's still available and a key focus for the company as well.
And so if we zoom out just a little bit, Sean, the market for edge AI has developed tremendously fast over, say, the last 12 months or so. Can you talk a little bit about what's changed, just from just a year ago in this specific space?
Sure. But you've heard me say in the past that all industries are becoming more and more interested in AI, and that this is for sure around the edge market. And so what we have seen is the use cases coming out across many different industries coming forward, ones that we didn't anticipate. That's one. But there's also a key change in the market. In the past, it was more, let me kind of examine and see how this work. We're seeing companies come in with very specific plans saying, we know we want this and we want to build products on this. So let's say, prior to 12 months ago or 18 months ago, it was more, let's explore. Companies are coming in now committed and say, we need to build something. And so that's a big change in the market. So broader use case is one, and more commitment to actually build products.
So talking about use cases, is there any, or are there a few of those that stand out in the current market where you see, well, that's where you think Akida will most likely be used?
Yeah, so let me talk about some of the key solution sets we're going to develop because those will illustrate some of the use cases. So I mentioned in your first question was, as we engage with certain customers, we gain insight to what their needs are. We develop certain models which are the property of BrainChip that we can use. And so we've got models in here, insight, understanding of the markets, understanding of the pain points of these customers. And then we've developed some world-class solutions in there. So one I'll talk about a moment is wearables. So wearables is something which is ideal for Akida because most wearables, you want to have extensive battery life and obviously the ability to do inference without any kind of network connection. These are areas and properties where Akida shines. So we have a set of models in there. We've had certain engagements in there, and they're progressing very well. So you can expect to see a lot of more activity in wearables. And we will be pushing harder in our marketing efforts and our sales efforts in the wearable space. The second one is radar. Now, radar is a very interesting market. A lot of it is defense oriented, but it can bleed into other kind of markets. But we're starting with defense, which is very, very important around the world right now. And there's a trend there. Two things is one, most radar technology is decades old and really needs to be innovated upon. The second one is the mobility trend. Drones have changed everything around defense, and obviously what they call more mobility in everything, where soldiers themselves can carry things. So you have to create mobile solutions. Mobile solutions require extensive battery life and no network connectivity. So mobile radar is an area where we will lean in very hard. We've got intellectual property, meaning we've got our IP, and now we have our chips. We also have models in there and industry wherewithal and knowledge about that. And we're working with some very interesting clients on mobile radar solutions. And you can expect us to push harder into that market. So there's some really good examples of two solutions right there.
So if we look at, say, 12 months from now into the milestones, obviously this tape out that you just announced and the subsequent manufacturing of those chips and qualification, that sort of thing, is probably what investors can look forward to. But what else is there sort of in the pipeline that we should be expecting in the next year or so?
Sure. This company is really technology first. So there are certain things we should always look for in this company, which is further advancement of our technology first and foremost. So we are working on another generation of Akida, which we call our next gen offering, and we'll be supporting LLMs on the edge in a very exciting configuration with world-class breakthrough performance. So that will be formally released in the next 12 months. So that's really, really important. And by the way, that's being built with extensive customer interaction and customer feedback. So that's the first kind of objective you can look for in 12 months. Then you go to the commercial side. Now we have a couple of different revenue streams. We're confident that you'll see some revenue from some chip orders from the announcement we just made. Of course, delivery of that chip is an important milestone, but look for orders on those chips during that period of time. And of course, our Akida 2 offering, which we announced several months back, we're out there in market, and we're down the track with extensive evaluations with certain customers right now. So look for some licensees on that as well.
Oh, well, you're in time for Semiconductor Australia 2025. So final question is about that. And then I know that the Australian semiconductor industry is very small compared to the US or Asia or Europe. But there's a lot going on the development side, on design, and our basic R&D on the quantum side, right? So I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Australian industry, as it is nascent, but where do you think this could go longer term?
Oh, I think Australia has a very bright future because they've certainly got the kind of raw ingredients to make that happen. First, they've got world-class universities, and that's really important. So they've got great talent and technical talent here in Australia. Obviously, access to capital. This is a capital-intensive business. Australia is obviously super aggressive too in terms of their economy and making sure that they have the right businesses in there. And semiconductors is becoming so important to every economy in the world. So I think the future is incredibly bright here in Australia. And you said it, there's some very interesting design work going on in this country as well. And so I look forward to the conference and hearing more about it, but I think it's a very bright future.
Excellent. Well, Sean, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Mark. Always a pleasure.